Hey, BC, it's Jonathan, your cheap and cheerful record collector. So, doing something a little different today. A while ago, our good friend Mazzy showed a bunch of his photo books he had of music, rock and roll, blues, whatever. And I kept thinking something I got to do, and I kept putting it off. And then just the other day, I watched his video he did of all his Beatles books, which is just a ridiculous, amazing collection of stuff he has. But that made me thinking I should do my video of my rock books and blues and jazz, etc. So let's get started. I got lots to show. First one is one I picked up at Goodwill, and it's called For the Record, The Life and Works of Alex Steinweiss, inventor of the album cover. All right, before this guy, all the records, 78s and 33s, were put in albums with plain covers, nothing on them. And he had the idea to put artwork on the cover of of records. And this is a great, great book. I just stumbled across it at Goodwill a couple of years ago, and it's just amazing stuff. He talks about how he was in a record store once watching people browse through the records, and he noticed that they were flipping through, and he came up with the idea of putting the name on the top of the record instead of on the bottom or anywhere else. So it was his idea to have the name of the artist at the top of the record so people could see it as they were flipping through. He did a lot of classical stuff. Flamingo. It's just a great, great book. John Kirby. He did La Bohème, classical. Just a great, great book. Paperbound, has just wonderful stuff in it. A great artist doing stuff that had never been done before. So yeah, Alex Steinweiss, he was the guy that came up with the whole idea of putting covers or pictures on the covers of albums. So I thought that was sort of cool. One other one I wanted to show quickly. This is, I think people have seen these before. This is the card set Hero of the Blues. I know they have country western and jazz, etc. This is the first one I ever saw, all done by our friend R. Crumb, and has everybody's Furry Lewis. I'll show some Son House. Blind Willie McTell, and on the back of each card is a little bio of the person. These are great, great cards. I've had these, God, 40 years probably. Got these when they first came out. Memphis Mini. Just showing guys people might know. Blind Lemon Jefferson, etc. So pretty cool. Like I said, I've had these forever and ever, and love them. Okay, I'm going through Goodwill about a year or two ago, and I see this book there for $5, and I just went crazy. And it's called Andy Warhol Live, just Warhol Live. The only problem with the book, it's all in French, and I don't read French. But there's the triple Elvis on the back. It's all about Andy's time with music and all the things he did. Here's an ad for Pioneer with Andy. Just talks about his involvement with the music scene and all the things he did. Here's Diana Ross. A lot of the jazz covers he did. You all know those. Let's see. So some good pictures here. Here's Andy. And more rock stuff. Let's see. Here's Mick. These portraits of Mick. I'm looking for the particular one. Yeah. And of course, the banana from Velvet Underground. So, a great book, Warhol Live. Andy Warhol. Next one's a great one, not strictly music, but mostly music, and it's called American Cool, with Jimmy on the cover. I love that picture of Jimmy on the cover. There's Billie Holiday. This one was signed by the guy who put it together. My wife got me this for my birthday one year. We were at the museum up in Brunswick, Maine, and they had this there. So she knew it was right up my alley. Let's see if we saw some pictures of... They have a lot of different people in here. Here. Here's my man Bix Beiderbecke with a little bio of Bix. Muddy Waters, Anita O'Day. Steve McQueen and Jim Brown, who just passed away the other day. Madonna. Willie Nelson. Some great pictures in this book. Love it. Really nice. American Cool. There's another one. Got a lot. This is called Who Shot Rock and Roll? A Photography History 1955 to Present by Gail Buckland. And on the cover is that fantastic photo of Tina Turner. And on the back is the boys, the Beatles. I'm not showing any Beatles. I have a couple of Beatles photo books, but I'm not showing them because Mazzy covered all that better than anybody, better than I could for sure. There's Frank Zappa, of course. John and Yoko. And different photographers do all these different things. He talks about here's Bob Gruen did the pictures of Kiss. And this is EMI Studios, the Supremes, arriving in London. Pretty cool. Jean-Pierre Leloir doing Chuck Berry. And here's Jasper Daly of The Doors performing on TV. So a lot of great pictures in here. Here's Elvis. I love that shot. Pretty great. And let's see what else we got here. Here's James Brown, Godfather of Soul. So a really great book. Who Shot Rock and Roll? Next one is one everybody should have in their collection. It's about records more than music, but it's Dust and Grooves, which I'm sure everybody has seen. If not, they should definitely have this book. Talks about record collecting, all the different people that collect records, interviews with them, and people you know and people you don't know. But a great book, Dust and Grooves. It's definitely a book you should have on your shelf. One of my favorites, Dust and Grooves. So things are falling apart over there. Okay. Here's a book I got. A friend of mine, he passed away, unfortunately. I went through his collection. His partner told me to take what I wanted, so I grabbed this one. This is a great little book called Live at the Fillmore East. And again, my friend Alan got it signed by the author. But what's cool about the book, besides all the great photos, is obviously Van Morrison and Eric Clapton. There's Jerry Garcia. Grateful Dead, Miles Davis, James Brown, Sly Stone, Santana, The Who. But the great thing about this book is that at the end of the book, they list every concert. Oh, here's the last day at the Fillmore. Thank you and farewell. But they list every concert that was played at the Fillmore and the dates they were done. So you could look up, because memory is not as good as it was, I was able to look up different bands I saw. And the first time I went to the Fillmore East was, I can find it right here. Yeah, the Grateful Dead in June of 1968. And the opening band was the Seventh Sons. The next band was Jeff Beck. And that was when all I knew from Jeff Beck was that he'd been in the Yardbirds. And he had this new singer that no one really knew who he was, and strutting around the stage, and it was Rod Stewart. And then the Grateful Dead were the headliners that night. And then about 2 weeks later, I went back in July of 68, and we saw H.P. Lovecraft, who opened up for the Jefferson Airplane. So that was pretty great. We went to see, in August that same year, 68, we went to see the Chambers Brothers were the headliners. Opening for them was Blood, Sweat, and Tears. And I remember being very disappointed because Al Cooper had already been kicked out of the band. I was really looking forward to seeing Al Cooper's Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and yet it was all of a sudden David Clayton Thomas, who I'd never heard of and was not happy with. And the opening act was the Amboy Dukes with, what's his face? Can't think of his name now, but you know who I mean. Then I didn't go for a while. Took me a while before I went. I was in college out of state. I wasn't in New York for a long time. And I think the last time I went was in 71, a couple of years later. And I went to see Frank Zappa, which was the album with the white cover. And that's the concert I was at. If I can find it here. 71. It doesn't matter. But yeah, it was 71. It was Frank Zappa. And that was the concert that John and Yoko sat in at the late show. And I unfortunately went to the early show and never got to see them. Yeah, but this is a great little book called Live at the Fillmore East, A Photographic Memory. Forward by Mickey Hart. That was pretty cool. How about some blues? This is another great book. This is called State of the Blues. Photographs by Jeff Dunnis. Preface by John Lee Hooker. This has, I think these photos are just spectacular. Just to give you an idea, here's Clarence Gatemouth Brown. The binding hasn't even broken in this book yet, so I'm trying to keep it. Here's Greg Allman and Magic Slim. Love these photos. Greg Allman, Magic Slim. How about Johnny Winter? Looking cool. John Mayall. A younger John Mayall. What else we got here? James Brown. I really like the sepia tone of all these great photos. And is John Lee Hooker. And on the back is a picture of the Checkerboard Lounge, Home of the Blues. This is a great little book, in paperback, but really wonderful. State of the Blues. This is a weird one, sort of a little cheesy, but I love it because I'm a big Frank Sinatra fan. If you watch my videos, you know I'm a big Frank fan. And this is called Sinatra's Treasures. So they sort of besides have all these great pictures of Frank, and they sort of take things that are part of his life and did copies of them. So here's a copy they did of the Frank Sinatra program from 1944. They reproduced that and put that in the book. Is an interview with Frank from 1944. So these are all, like I said, copies of originals they sort of made and put in the book. It's sort of fun. They had copies of his driver's license, stuff like that. This book's getting a little bit, because I haven't used it in a while, the things are getting sort of dried out. That's the word I'm looking for. So you try to open it, they sort of fall apart. Here's a cool one. Sinatra photo album. And they sort of reproduced photos of Frank from his photo album with the family. Sort of fun. Like I said, a little cheesy, but I like it. Sinatra Treasures. Staying with jazz, I have this great book called Jazz, A History of America's Music. It's part of the Ken Burns jazz series. Lift it up there. But it's really good. They have really great history of jazz. Talks all about the different types of jazz and the evolution of jazz. It starts off, if I remember correctly, jazz history, So you have preface by Ken Burns. You have the first chapter is Gumbo, beginning to 1907, 1907 to 17, and the jazz age of the 20s, hard times, the 29 to 35, etc. So some great photos. I have a little hard time with this one because it's so big. Let me see if I find one more here. It's Jerry Mulligan and, Miles Davis. It's Jerry Mulligan and Miles Davis. But great stories, great commentary on jazz. Duke Ellington and Billy Strahan. Etc. Benny Goodman. Benny. And on the back, of course, is the great Satchmo, Louis Armstrong. Here's one my sister got me, because she knows me too well. And this is called The Art of Rock. This has amazing history of all different rock posters from all different eras. So it starts really early in the beginning with, let's see, the first one they have here. First one is from 1965, first one they show on the right there. And as you see, it has the Kinks concert, the Beatles at Shea Stadium, and then on the bottom, if you can see the one on the bottom, it says New York, the first New York Folk Festival, 4 days in June 1965, and I went to that concert. I was 16 years old, and that was Phil Oakes, Chuck Berry, how he ended up in the folk thing, I don't know, Johnny Cash, and Buffy St. Marie at Carnegie Hall. I distinctly remember going to that show when I was 16 years old. But there's some great poets. B.B. King and Howlin' Wolf. Some early blues posters. Let's see. Here's all the, here's the Trip Festival, 1966. Can You Pass the Acid Test? All the Fillmore posters. The only thing I wish some of the posters they had reproduced a full-size page instead of putting so many on one page. But there's some great ones. Orange Groove. That's a beautiful one. So great posters, a great book. Really goes all the way up to the punk scene. Romeo Void, Brian Eno, etc. So this is a great little book. Great little book. Great, big book. The Art of Rock. Very cool. This is another Goodwill pickup. Nothing really amazing about it, but sort of fun. It's a book on the Doors. And love this photo on the back. That's before light shows, before big screens and fireworks and all that shit. They just got up on stage in front of people, plugged in, and started playing. That's what I like. That's what I enjoy more. Here's the Doors. There's Jim and the boys. Yeah, I guess, you know, for the big stadiums, you need all that stuff, but it was very refreshing back in the day to just go to a show. The band would just show up, plug in, crank it out. There you go, the Doors. Here's a little one on the Rolling Stones. This is the first 20 years. Another paper-bound book, but still some great photos in here. Teen Facts. And just a lot of things about the Stones. More words and pictures, which is fine. I know how to read. There's young Keith. And on the back. All right, next one is one I think is one of my favorites of all of them. And this is R. Crumb. And this is the R. Crumb, the Complete Record Covers Collection. This is in a really nice case. It's R. Crumb. In the back, the blues man walking down the street playing the harmonica. And this has all R. Crumb's drawings, all the record covers he did for his albums. Cheap Suit Serenaders. I got a couple of those records. All the great covers that R. Crumb put out. Interesting guy, R. Crumb. A definite original, and not one you can put into a category. Yeah, just love it. So yeah, R. Crumb, Complete Record Covers. Really like that. Really happy to have that. Put that away. How about Rock Scene by Bob Gruen? And wait, there goes the cover, the Clash. There's that same picture I showed in the other one of Kiss that he took. And here's one of Tina Turner. Double, triple exposure. Pretty great. Bob was a great photographer. There's the King. There's Tina. There's John Lennon. And John and Elton John. Don't know who that is. I should know that. I don't know. I want to say it's previous spread B.B. Boole. Here's Steven Tyler. Great shot. So Bob really did some really great shots. Here's my boys. Here's the Clash. I love that picture. This is a wonderful book. rock scene. There's Mick and John and Yoko. Pretty cool. So it's a nice book, Rock Scene. And from back in the day, I Want to Take You Higher. The Haight-Ashbury Jefferson Airplane, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, UFO, Grateful Dead, etc., etc. All about that time. In the 60s, his Big Brother and the Holding Company poster. All right, here's just a great photo from the era. So these are a really nice book. Love this stuff. Takes you back to the time, back when. Here's the Dead in the airplane at their house there in Haight Street. Donovan, etc. Nice book. Want to Take You Higher. Going back to jazz for a second. Here's the Encyclopedia of Jazz and Blues. And again, getting Jelly Roll Morton, who claims that he invented blues more than anybody else. But it goes to everybody. Here's Nina Simone. So it's all alphabetical order and does all different people from jazz and blues. The great Freddie King. And little bios about them. So this is really a great place to look up things if you heard a name like you know the name but nothing about them. In other words, here's Esther Phillips and Piano Red. And if you don't, yes, you can look them up. You can see when he born, when he died, certain musical selections that they did, which is sort of great. Here's B.B. King, Buddy Guy, who I actually have tickets to go see in 1st of July at the Montreal Jazz Fest. So we're going up there from Montreal to Jazz Fest and got tickets to see Buddy Guy. Looking forward to that. Here's another one I picked up. Heart and Soul, a celebration of black music style in America. 1930, 1975, with, of course, the great Little Richard on the cover. And some great stuff here. There we go. Chapter 1, The Roots. There's some album covers. The Crystals, Twist Uptown, All-Star Rock and Roll. Let's see, here's some religious stuff. Songs of Faith. Gary U.S. Bonds. And the Duke of Earl. So yeah, another fun little book. Heart and Soul. Don't go away. A couple more, I'm almost done. Here's another one. This is the Bob Dylan scrapbook, 1956 to 1966. And he has that's that scrapbook kind of thing where they give you reproductions of different things. Here's a guest pass on the March on Washington, which was the Martin Luther King, where Dylan sang. There's a copy of the guest pass for that, which is sort of fun. The lyrics, copies of handwritten lyrics, the Freewheelin' Bob Dylan, the advertisement for that. Again, this is getting a little dried out because I haven't looked at it in a while. Columbia Records Sales Corporation, Rebel with a Cause. 21-year-old Bob Dylan. Coming short 1 year, a little advertisement thing they put out. Copies of all that kind of stuff in here. Sort of fun. This one's great. Bob Dylan brings it all back home on Columbia Records. Has a little stand you can open up and make it stand up. That's a cool insert. The book has all that kind of stuff in here, which is I love. Like I said, a little cheesy, but that one's sort of cool. I like that a lot. Forgot about that one. The die cut one. That's cool. What else they got? Newport Notebook and his handwriting. So this is a fun book. Bob Dylan, Scrapbook, 1956, 1966. And we will finish up this video with an amazing book called American Music by Annie Leibovitz, great American photographer. And this one happens to be signed by Annie Leibovitz. It says for Abby, I don't know who Abby is. Los Angeles, 2003. But signed by Annie Leibovitz, which is sort of cool. And the first picture of the first musician of American music they show is Pete Seeger. Very appropriate. This book has great photos in it, but the thing that sort of ticks me off is that you're supposed to be cool enough to know who everybody is. Because they don't give any... There's nothing to tell you who it is until you go to the back of the book, which then gives you a history of who's on there, who it is. I mean, some of them you'll know right away. But some of them, I'm not really sure who they are. I have to look it up. I don't know who that is. I should know that. So then you have to look up and see, well, this is on page 99. So you go to the back of the book, go to page 99, there's a little thing, and 99, that is, Hubert Summerlin and Pinetop Perkins. 90, that's weird, it's not on there. That's Hubert Summerlin. Cedric Burnside, of R.L. Burnside's grandson, Cedric. But I wouldn't know that. So you have to go to the back of the book, and they have little bios of everybody in the book. Sort of annoying. You got to be cool enough to know who all these people are. I'm not that cool. But the photos are great. Photos are extraordinary. And there's little intros written by different musicians. So Patti Smith wrote an intro, Steve Earle, Roseanne Cash, Mos Def, Beck, Ryan Adams, and then Annie Leibovitz writes something too. But some of the photos are just extraordinary. So that's it. I have more, but this is all I'm showing today. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said in my last video, I'm almost up to 2,000 subscribers, which I never, ever thought I'd get anywhere close to that. So I really appreciate everybody who subscribes to my channel. If you like what you saw, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. And until next time, peace.